him as to the dangers of hugging or holding children on his lap.
I mean, what sort of a deterrent is that?
Well, it's none, obviously, because those sorts of things would be just what would be in public view. The thing that escapes the society's viewpoint on this child molesting situation is that all of this takes place in secret.
So secret is child abuse that Simon Thomas thought he was alone in being abused by Robert Souter, until he found out about his younger brother, and then later about another brother as well.
Did you have any sense of guilt that you might have been able to save your two brothers?
I did, from then on, and I still have that feeling. And it's part of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing today. Because if I'd said something back then, I could have saved, I could have helped, maybe in some way, dozens of others.
But maybe not, for in the most extraordinary dictate of all, the Jehovah's Witnesses rule book insists on this.
There must be 2 or 3 eyewitnesses, not just persons repeating what they have heard. No action can be taken if there is only one witness.
Blind Freddie knows that a child abuser doesn't sit around waiting for 2 or 3 witnesses before doing anything.
That's correct.
How is it that this escapes the elders of the church?
They rely on a biblical text which says that all matters are to be established on the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses.
As Jim Donald tells it, this rule has stifled the plaintive cries of victims time and time again, and was a major factor in his decision to leave the church behind for good.
A young lass made allegations that this particular individual had interfered with her sexual organs. Yeah.
And you were given the job of investigating this allegation. What happened?
Well, all we could do was pose the questions to him, and obviously he said, "Oh, no, that's all a mistake, and she's had problems, and she comes from a weird family sort of thing." And
so, in the absence of the church's rule that there be at least 2 or 3 witnesses, this girl was not to be believed.
That's right.
And that was the end of the matter?
Yep.
But for her father's confession, that's just what would have happened to Natalie Webb.
If he'd denied it, and it was only your word against him, because of the 2-witness rule, nothing would have happened. Is that fair to assume?
That's correct.
This one's called The Wrestle. It's actually wrestling with a decision on whether I should actually go to the police.
For Simon Thomas, years went by as he and his family nursed their trauma. Black years, chronicled in his paintings.
This one there, that's called Life at 15.
Then, 6 years ago, Simon approached the church elders again.
And I said to the elders there that I was really struggling with what happened to me, and that I needed some help. I wasn't coping.
What did they say to you?
They said to me back then, they said, and these are the exact words, they said, obviously, for this problem to be bothering you for so long, you're not praying enough.
You're kidding.
And that's exactly what was said to me, so I shut up again for another year or 2.
And then?
And then I decided that I was going to go to the police.
Robert Souter was sent to jail for a minimum of 3 years by Judge John Goldring, who had this to say about the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society.
The church authorities took it upon themselves to act as if they were the civil authorities, which they had no right to do. This matter was not reported to the police, as it should have been, and I'm surprised that the police have not taken any action against the church authorities. I hope they will do so. The state has the responsibility of protecting young people, and all citizens have a serious moral responsibility to assist it in doing so. I cannot criticize the church sufficiently seriously for not having reported this matter.
Do you feel any moral responsibility for the fact that he continued to abuse other children?
I think you have a moral responsibility to respect my wishes and follow the procedure I've given you, and that is to contact the Watchtower Society of Australia. Don't harass me.
Every child in this photograph with Simon Thomas was abused by Robert Souter. As we now know, the total number Souter molested could be as high as 40.
I think all of them could have been saved. But I could have been saved myself, because I found out that one of the sisters in the congregation had spoken to an elder and said that she'd seen Robert Souter doing something to her son. And this was before Robert Souter abused me.
Remember, our hearts and minds are dedicated to Jehovah, and we must be holy, because he is holy.
We asked the Watchtower Society a series of questions about its handling of the cases of Robert Souter and Victor Webb, and asked them to tell us how many child abusers they've uncovered in their ranks. We were told it wasn't the business of the media to know, though the church did say very few were elders or those holding positions of responsibility. In this letter, Viv Moritz, the Society's Australian president, declined our request for an interview and said about the claims of Simon Thomas and Natalie Webb, "My inquiries indicate that the elders involved did not give instructions not to report the abuse to the police. It's at odds with everything we've heard from a number of sources, including a judge. But on previous form, the congregation will be told our story is the work of Satan."
The media out there, with all its power and its might, it presents human nature in 3Ds. 3Ds. Debauchery of every kind, deception of every kind, and demonism of every kind. And we need to be aware of that.
But the authorities and the courts need to be aware of something else, something far more sinister, the church's notion of the truth. In this book, Insight on the Scriptures, it says here, doesn't it, lying generally involves saying something false to a person who is entitled to know the truth.
Yes.
Would your average judge or magistrate be somebody who was entitled to know the truth?
It would be very difficult for a person not to uphold what the society would want. They would back the society, and they would see that as backing Jehovah, in which case these people, the court, is not entitled to know the truth.
Is not.
No. And in that case, they would say, that's not a lie.
So it's quite possible, given this definition of lying, that a Jehovah's Witness could go before a civil court in this country and lie to their back teeth.
Yes.
And this from the man who was once the Society's own lawyer.
That has always been, as long as I remember, has been Watchtower doctrine, that only those who are entitled to know the truth deserve the truth.
Right, but if they determine that a particular judge or a particular court is not entitled to know the truth, they won't tell the truth.
Correct.
Do you recall telling her that she shouldn't go to the police?
Not at all.
She says you did.
Oh, that's her word against mine, isn't it?
So, who is entitled to know the truth?
I mean, who do you think you are anyway? Since when have you become the bee's knees on all of this?
So has Vic repented, has he? Is that it?
Well, I would like to think so, but that's not for me to judge, is it? I mean, that's between him and his God, ultimately, is it not?
Him and his God.
Well, don't you think that?
Brothers, as we continue to pray for help in controlling our sinful inclinations, we will see Jehovah help us.
Leave it to Jehovah, the constant refrain of those who purport to live in the truth and see themselves as his only true representatives. Their victims want them brought to account in the world, an official investigation into the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society.
Needs reform forced on it. And waiting for Jehovah just doesn't work.
I think it needs to have the lid taken off. Yeah. Because young kids' lives are being ruined.
So it's time that governments crack down on this organisation.
Oh, definitely. I'd hate to think how many children are being abused now.
Even as we speak.
As we speak.
I find it hard, even though there are beautiful people within the Jehovah's Witnesses, a lot are still my friends. I find it extremely difficult to have a bond and to be a part of a brotherhood with them now. The organisation, the organisational procedures need to change, because kids cannot suffer like that anymore. It's wrong.
Suffer the children. Graham Davis reporting there, the producer Kirstine Lum. More information is available on our website at 9msn.com.au/Sunday, as well as contact details for victims of abuse. And we're continuing to investigate this story, so if you have any information that could help, you can call our hotline on 02 9965 2483, or you can email us on line2sunday@9.com.au. And we'll be back with more of Sunday in a moment.